is the Youth Gone Mild podcast, right here from the Wherever I May Roam studio, and I'm your host, Gen X Joe. It is another double dose of denim week. We are serving up two interviews, the flannels in the closet and the good denim, it's on, and we mean business here at the Youth Gone Mild podcast. Our first guest this week is a proud Canadian, a world touring powerhouse behind the kit, and a man who's been making stages shake as the drummer for one of hard rock's most relentless live acts, Danko Jones. And we are talking about none other than Rich Knox. And man, he has crisscrossed the globe with one of Canada's greatest bands in Danko Jones. And somehow, during that time, he has found a way to become a certified personal trainer, nutrition coach, and a mindfulness coach. Basically, he's what happens when you combine Animal from the Muppets and a wellness guru. I think that's pretty damn cool. Maybe I should take some lessons from Rich. But am I actually a performer? I don't know. Well, hey, you know what? Mindfulness doesn't hurt. In the episode, Rich is going to take us back to when he first joined Danko Jones, the upcoming tour of Europe, and much more. And before we get into the double dose of denim, I just want to thank our sponsor, Celebrity Events by Lisa Gandia. If you're looking for an elite celebrity and entertainment person to help you with bookings, look no further than Lisa. Head over to celebrityeventsrock.com. That's celebrityeventsrock.com. All right, denim jacket is on, colors up. I'm looking cool. I'm feeling like I'm back in high school. Yeah. So let's get into my interview with Rich Knox of Danko Jones. So, Rich, I want to thank you for being a part of my podcast today. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, I was just kind of researching Danko Jones and, just to get a refresh on what the band has been up to all of these years.
Yeah, the band has been going since '96. Yeah, they've gone through a few drummers. They've had a few drummers over the years. But yeah, started in '96, very much in the garage scene, garage rock scene. I guess let's just flash forward from there. So they're going since '96, and then in 2013, I joined them. Yeah, so I guess it's been about 13, almost 13 years, is it? Yeah, it'll be 13 years in August because I joined them in August. So yeah, I think it's the best era, but I know some hardcore fans might look back to some older albums and enjoy those too, as do I. But yeah, man, 2013, so 13 years with the guys.
When you came aboard, what type of style did you bring to the band compared to maybe some of the others, not taking away from any of their skills?
When I joined, I was aware that they had this lineage of great drummers before me. And so I studied I listened to every song, learned most of every song, and studied those drummers. So when I came aboard, I was trying to pay respect to those drum parts and even the vibe of the other drummers. So like when we went to record the first album that I did with the band, Fire Music, I was definitely doing my own thing, but I was kind of like I schooled myself in what had come before in the band just to keep some sort of consistency, continuity in the sound. That being said, I think I come from a different background than most of the drummers that had come before me. I had like before this, I did play in a rock band that was like kind of like ZZ Top meets Queens of the Stone Age kind of vibe. So there was a lot of like blues elements, but also a little bit more kind of a modern rock thing going on in the band. And that's what those guys had heard when they were looking for a new drummer. That like luckily there was a video of me playing with that other band, Flash Lightning. That's what they used to just kind of see if I could play, I guess, before the audition. I live now still in a small place called Prince Edward Island, Canada. And so you got kind of like the music that was fed to you, at least for me, was like whatever was on, like I think you guys have MTV, we have Much Music. But so like Nirvana, listening to Pennywise, listening to Soundgarden, Smashing Pumpkins, like kind of all like the bands of that kind of grunge era. I think that's where my concept of rock largely comes from, just instinctually. But then, later on, I went deep into John Bonham and Charlie Watts and kind of went back and studied all that classic, more like what we call classic rock. But also, I also come from a jazz background too.
Right.
So there's elements of that sneaks in at times, and probably in some of the fills or just some of the decisions that I make, I guess, maybe are affected by that. So kind of a combination of all that stuff.
Because you went to McGill University. I mean, that's a really good formal music education.
At least the way I was trained with it and like studied it. Jazz music has, it's often, at least at the level I was playing, and I think when they get like really, really good, it kind of comes back to being like very intentional. But like for the most part, the rock stuff is pretty intentional. You write your part, you know what you're going to play. When you go into the studio, you do it, you execute that part. And then for us, some bands like kind of do facsimiles of what they're, off the album, like when they're live, but we're pretty true to the live versions. So we've written our parts, we're just playing. If I went and saw a band and they didn't play it like the record, I was like, what is it? Like, I want to hear
Right.
that song that the way I know it. But jazz is obviously very different than that, and it's going to be different every single time. Like the greatest jazz records we listen to, they do maybe several takes of each song, and no one's trying to play the exact same solo. No one's like everything is very organic and just happening and reactive. I think there's so much more, in my opinion, nuance in jazz music. So there's just nuance of dynamics and styles, and it just forces you to like learn technique, like to build a technique that allows you to do this subtle thing that, with the kind of rock I play with Danko, it's it's not very subtle, and that's part of that's a choice. It's just gonna I want to just be solid, and I want to drive the music and drive the band. Um, but I guess for me and probably a lot of other drummers who have a jazz background, you you've learned music, you've learned to listen to it maybe differently. You've kind of got inside it. You've got inside of rhythms in a different way than somebody who hasn't kind of gone deep on jazz. And so you might just come up with slightly different ideas than guys that didn't do that. And you might even just affect the way you play, just like the little push and pull of what you do with your time. And then again, like the fill choices might just be slightly different than, you know, uh, if you've never ever listened to, or like not even just listened to jazz, but like gone in and tried to like transcribe, like learn the great solos, learn how they actually played and try to emulate that. Uh, then it can inform subtly what you're doing, even in a rock setting. But we've got a system that works for us in how we write. We know what we're going to do. We come right out and say that we're not a band like Radiohead or something that's like changing their sound over albums or like looking for the new, like to evolve the music. We're more of a Motorhead or AC/DC approach where it's like you know what you're going to get when you put the album on. And so with that, there's challenges in making it differentiating and coming up with new enough ideas while maintaining your sound.
You guys have a tour that's coming up, although it's not in the US. I believe it's over in Europe, correct?
Yeah, we go in about a month's time. Our summer festival season is starting up. So we have some really huge festivals this summer, all in Europe pretty much. I don't think there's even anything in Canada, but um, we're playing Rock am Ring, Rock am Park, Grass Pop, and Wacken open air as well, and a bunch of other awesome festivals too. But those are like four massive festivals that we're getting to do this summer. And it's not every summer that we get to do like that many. Every summer is like, yeah, a couple of like really big ones, but this is a really good summer for us. It's going to be Gonna be really cool. Be back and forth, but that starts in June, and then we'll kind of be going pretty steady until the end of August or into September, really. And then we got a fall tour as well. So like, yeah, we got a busy year. We keep busy. I think that starts in October, and we go into like mid-October to mid-November, all in Europe again.
You guys got to come to the States.
We have gone a few times over the years, but yeah, we're due for another run.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just not in the cards for us right now. Mostly just because we areas of the world that are already booked. So it's, it's not even so much that. It's just
I could say from a lot of fans, you definitely are wanted here in the United States.
appreciate it. You have great fans there.
So let's talk a little bit about you away from the drumming aspect. You're also a certified personal trainer, a nutrition and mindfulness and meditation coach.
Yeah, all those interests were things that I've had for a long time. They grew out of me having to fix myself, really, whether it was on the road mentally or physically. Touring as much as we do, and I know some bands even tour even more. It's a emotional, physical, and mental toll on anybody. I was always a pretty active guy. I loved running, loved going to the gym. But it was really when I started I overdid it a couple workouts here and there, and like would injure myself, injure my like had like golfer's elbow and tennis elbow a couple times. That I started to get more serious about why don't I like actually learn, the same way I learned drums, go deep and figure out what's actually happening to make this thing work. Do the same thing with personal training and the same with nutrition. So that was kind of the impetus to get me to get like formal training in that stuff. But yeah, being like I was kind of the most active and fit guy in most of the bands that I played in for years. And now in our band now, JC's a big runner, so he might take the cake as the fittest guy because he runs a lot. But um, it was just always an interest, and so uh, during the pandemic, the word that shall not be mentioned, I
Right.
had time on my hands. I wasn't touring, obviously. I went back to school. So I got like, that's when I went and got certified as a personal trainer, went and got certified as a nutrition coach, and really, yeah, really went deep on those things, as well as learning to be a mindfulness coach as well. And then just reading a ton of sports psychology and other psychology and just philosophy books, all to work on mindset as well. So these were some like I said, kind of first to help myself, but then as I was sitting around doing nothing, I decided to make a business out of it. And so now it's called Performers Health, and it provides those services specifically for performers. So if whether you're a dancer or a drummer or anything, um, all that information is out there for everybody. Especially like now we got AI, you can just type in like, what do I need to eat? What do I need to do? And that's great to have the information, but I like to think that I've walked these same paths, and there's something different to it if you've actually walked those paths, because there's subtleties in how to approach these exercises, or how to eat on the road, or just how to get yourself to do something. Like you can know what to do and not do it, which is a big struggle for a lot of people. So I mainly work one-on-one with clients. What we do, I guess just a brief overview of what I do is most of these things are on a call just like this one, or
Mhm.
like a Zoom call. Just the nature of, we're all living all over the place. We together, there's like an art to taking care of yourself, and there's a science to taking care of yourself. And there's certain things that if you do them, more than likely you're going to have a certain result. And so we try to identify together, if you and I were talking on a call, I would try to get a sense of what it is exactly that you're looking for. Why do you want this service? Maybe it's about weight loss, maybe it's you're overwhelmed, maybe you're burned out, maybe you want to get just stronger. Maybe you have injuries that are plaguing you. Now, I'm not a therapist, but there are things that can be done outside of proper physical therapy that, that work. So we would identify those things. I would make you that plan. We'd come up with a plan that actually works for you. And then we would continue meeting and, I would hold you accountable to that plan and not just like a drill sergeant, but, find out. Because the thing about touring, I found, and the people that I've worked with have found that it's kind of inconsistent just in how your days look. Not every day is the same. So like it's a unique challenge to a touring musician or any artist that just kind of has like a piecework or shift work or you know gig work is that your days look different. So you need a flexible plan. So there needs to be things that are non-negotiable that you do every day, but there's other things that need to, give and take. I'm speaking pretty broadly because it can be a lot of different things, but essentially what I'm doing is kind of curating a personal plan that will make somebody feel better in their body. So that's you got to if you're eating a certain way, you're going to feel a certain way. So that can be if you're eating things that are good for you, that are good for your energy, that maintain muscle. That's great. That's going to help you keep or build muscle or just feel good and have consistent energy through the day. If you're eating another way, or if you're partying every night on the road, that's going to lead to a different outcome the next day. You're going to feel like crap. These things snowball. So you feel everybody who has ever had too many drinks can know what I'm talking about. It's one thing to have that great time the night of. The next day, you kind of feel a little bit crappy. You're not moving as much, and you're also probably eating to comfort yourself, and so it's probably not the best food for you. So these things compound, and so if this happens night after night, like it can on the road, because it's so easy and like the all the food and all the booze you want is usually right at your fingertips. So you need strategies to not do that. Try not to be too specific to give anything too much away, but that's pretty much it. Looking for ways that you can take your fitness on the road, workouts that can work at home and on the road, ways that you can eat healthy at home and on the road, ways to find mindful moments during your day. Because there's a lot on your brain as well to be on the road. You're around people all the time. It's a high pressure, hurry up and wait kind of scenario. So it's really, in some ways, it can just be preventative medicine and for others, it's like, I know I want to get ripped. I want to get jacked and really strong and look great on stage. And that's a different kind of protocol. Yeah, that's kind of it, man.
That's something that I should actually have to do at my age at 51. There are times when I just like, man, I got to get in shape. I got to eat healthier. And then I try and then I do. And then I fall off the wagon. And, it's just a roller coaster ride after that.
I think I know what you mean. There's a lot of going on. So the first thing is to train that mindfulness bit, like how you can get that state of mind at any time. And then through doing that and being aware, then you can be like, all right, what's going on in my body right now? Like, am I tense? Am I holding tension somewhere? These are some of the things that can injure people over time. And same like even just sitting on your computer. If you could just be like aware of what's going on in your body all the time, like you can be tense. My shoulders can be up all day and I cannot notice it. And then like after a while, there's like the shoulders are killing me or my neck's killing me or whatever it is. You have to first be aware that they're happening and then you can do something about them. I know I give you long-winded answers every time you ask me a question, but
you're good.
They deserve a bit of context. Rant over.
Definitely not a rant at all. I appreciate that. As
Yeah.
you were talking about all of that, I'm picturing my boys, and I'm guilty of that too, on their phones all the time, on their video games, and they're complaining that they're sore, and they really never ever do anything.
Yeah, like that's basically just what I'm describing. Instead of this, though, it's like they're, holding I assume, or maybe they're on the computer. I don't know, whatever. But like either way, it's like they're just sitting around for a long time. Of course, they're gonna like get sore, and the game's probably intense. So I wouldn't be surprised if their shoulders are up, a bit, or they're not like breathing deeply, or like whatever the thing. So it makes total sense that they would be sore after a time, or just like. When you wake up in the morning, you kind of just like it takes a minute to like feel like, your muscles just take a minute to like readjust to moving again, getting blood flowing and all this stuff. Yeah. But this is like, unfortunately, this is like a thing for like a lot of people because like a lot of people work a desk job and this is like why, I mean, I'm not the first to say this. This is like well known. That's why we have like ergonomic chairs and standing desks and all these things. Like but it's a thing. It's a thing that is real and is tough on people. And I think maybe, yeah, maybe sometimes musicians forget that, I'm a musician. I don't have a desk job, but they still like might be at their computer 5 hours a day. You kind of have a desk job in a way, like your body, as far as your body's concerned.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit, though. I don't want to not talk about the new album from Danko Jones, Leo Rising. That came out, what, November of 2025, correct?
That sounds right.
We'll go
Yeah.
with that. So I have to
The other,
say, one of the first songs I heard off of that album was Every Day is Saturday Night, man. What a killer track. That is just so raw and punk. I love it.
Thanks, man. I love playing that song. It's like just such a groover.
In the 13 years that you have been with the band, and we talked about how the band has gelled to what it is today. What type of style of writing? Who comes up with a lot of the ideas? Is it Danko? Is it JC? Is it you? Is it all a combination?
It usually starts like Danko's a bit of a riff machine, so he will come with some riffs. He writes the lyrics. We'll get in there and like make the occasional lyric suggestion, but for it's pretty much all him. Lyrics sometimes come afterwards. Sometimes they come at the beginning though, but often it's like we get some riffs. Uh, JC's a great arranger. He often like the way it is now because we don't live in the same places anymore. We used to all live in Toronto, and so we would get together, um, 5 days a week, like Monday to Friday, go into the rehearsal space and jam out ideas. And that's how we wrote the records. Now, I live in Prince Edward Island. Danko lives in Toronto. JC lives in Kuopio, in Finland. And so now we send tracks to each other online. So I have like a recording software here. So like I'll do my tracks like this. Everybody's, hooked up. But that's kind of how like it gets started. And then on the road as well, we like for example, in Europe this summer, we'll have days off, but we'll book time in a rehearsal studio so that we can actually play together, maybe revisit those ideas and like work them out, or we'll completely new ideas or try to come up with something on the spot. There is something different to like the three of us being in a room, obviously, and the magic you try to capture with like just something happening in the moment, as opposed to like thought out sent tracks.
Well, I'll tell you, even though you guys aren't together in a room coming up with ideas, you guys have not lost your attitude whatsoever.
It's the same. We're just as angry, and the attitude remains. I agree.
One of the things I love and have loved about Danko Jones is, and this is just me speaking, that I don't give a shit what I'm going to put per se in the lyrics. It's just hardcore and, right out at you.
I can't speak for him, but he'd be the first to say he's not writing, we're not writing a bunch of love songs or like trying to save, like he's had this bit on stage too, like he'll say like we're not trying to save the world here, it's just we just want to rock, and so the lyrics reflect that. In rock music where you just want to bob your head and you just want to like feel good and rock, there's something to be said about lines that just sound good coming out of your mouth and just sound good going in your ear.
You pretty much summed up what I meant by that. And what I do mean is he's not really PC with his lyrics. Other than the tours and the new album is already out, what is on the horizon for the threesome of Danko Jones?
Just kind of rinse repeat. We're still touring Leo Rising, so we'll do like you mentioned, maybe a trip to South America as well. Don't have exact dates yet. I think that's getting announced quite soon. We're already starting to write the next record, so that's already happening. That pretty much sums us up.
All right. Well, hey, I want to thank you so much for being a part of my podcast today. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day.
Yeah, appreciate that, Joseph. Thanks for having me on, man. All the best to you.
And that, my friends, is a wrap on another episode of the Youth Gone Mild podcast. right here at the Wherever I May Roam studio, where denim is always double. Well, not always, but usually for the week. 2 episodes in 1 week. And the coffee, well, it's always cold because I never can get to it because I'm always doing interviews. Listen, massive thank you to Rich Knox of Danko Jones, a man who beats the drums for a living, then turns around and tells you to stretch, hydrate, and breathe deeply. Basically, he's the rock star version of your gym teacher, but I'm sure pretty much cooler. Okay, actually, he is pretty much cooler than your gym teacher. And if you want to reach out to Rich, maybe be a client of his, check out his website, performershealth.com/meet Rich. And if you're a fan of Danko Jones or becoming a fan of Danko Jones, go on and check out their website at dankojones.com, DANKO Jones.com, dankojones.com. And speaking of websites, once again, another shout out to our sponsor here at the Youth Gone Mild podcast, Lisa Gandia. And for all your celebrity events needs, go to celebrityeventsrock.com. I'm Gen X Joe. I'm still youthful, just a little milder, still wearing too much denim, and still convinced the 80s and 90s weren't that long ago. Well, until next time, rock loud, live proud, and for the love of all things holy, and Rich would approve of this, drink some water, damn it. Peace out. Props everyone for listening. I'm Gen X Joe.